Joining us now on the Dubcast from Bulls FC Academy. She's lifted a trophy this season. We'll be hoping to lift another in a couple of weeks' time. A goal-scoring machine in the midst of a breakout season, some might say. That's Isabella Coco-Di Sipio. Thank you for joining us on the Dubcast.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
We'll start with that trophy that you lifted on the weekend. A 2-1 victory over APIA on the final day of the season. I didn't get to pay as much attention to the game as I would have liked to because I was commentating Manly versus Sydney Uni, but I did take a second monitor to the ground so that I could, have that game on sort of off to the side, and every time I glanced over, like, it just looked like the most intense high action game that you could have been a part of and worthy of first versus second for a Premiership decider.
Yeah, no, it was I don't think it could have been scripted any better. That's what everyone's been saying. First versus second, title decider. It was very intense. I think that's the most intense football game I've actually been a part of. Very transitional, momentum would be with us, and then, quick momentum change back to APIA and then back to us. So it was really back and forth. But, the girls, they fought hard. We put in. We knew that we could come away with the Premiership, and we did. We executed our game plan perfectly, and the result showed. And yeah, very, very happy to have lifted the Premiership.
Was it a little bit sweeter knowing you got it against the side you spent a couple of years at?
Yeah, I mean, mixed emotions with it. I did play at APIA and I, won the Premiership with them when I was there. So a bittersweet moment, but, my focus and my heart's at Bulls at the moment, and I wanted to lift that for not only myself, but, for the girls and the staff as well, because throughout the season, we've been putting in hard work, even behind the scenes with staff. A lot of people don't know what goes behind closed doors, but yeah, so to win that for everyone, including our fans, it was good.
Yeah, you mentioned a lot of that work that goes on behind the scenes, and obviously, you play at Northbridge Oval, which is, not where you would expect, obviously being the parent club MacArthur, part of the academy to play, but you really make that ground a fortress.
We did. I think with how the draw planned out, our first 4 games were all away, and we did have mixed results across the board with those 4 games. And we all sat down and we were like, okay, when we play our first home game, we need to make a statement. And we came away with a 1-0 win against Sydney Uni. And then we came back from 3-1 down against Stingrays. And I think that game was the pinnacle for it all, where we went, okay, this is business. This is our home turf. You want to come to Northbridge, you got to work for it. But we just worked just as hard, and yeah, we went undefeated at home. So that was also another huge achievement. I've actually never been in a team that's gone undefeated at home, so that was pretty cool too.
What do you make of playing at Northbridge? Because it's a very unique setup in the sense that where the crowd is, you don't see it from, you don't get to see a lot of it from the ground unless they're right up against the fence because of just, the height with where the vantage point is. Look,
I don't mind Northbridge. I mean, you get the nice city views in the background and the golf course. But in terms of fans, they are all up against the fence. But, that's how they're loyal. Like, they're really getting into it. They pack that area. Our little grandstand's packed as well. Like, we get a good crowd out there. But, we make do with what we have at the moment. And it's working so far.
Have you heard anything about possibly a different home, a more permanent home going on? Because it seems like any time, I ask MacArthur on the record all the time, what's happening with the A-League women team, what's happening with the training ground facilities, all of that, and I keep getting the same answer I was getting 3 years ago. So I'm probably just as in the dark as everyone else is.
Well, I was going to say, you probably know more than I do. Like, they don't really tell us much, but it would be great to hopefully soon have a MacArthur Bulls women's team. And I think, this year is a really good stepping stone to show people that, we can be a A-League team one day. So hopefully that's sooner rather than later, but I'll leave all that, fun stuff to the more corporate people. I just want to hit the field running.
Well, that's what you did this season, a real, breakout season of sorts. You weren't in the shadow of Amber Luchtmeyer last year, who had, golden boot, 23 goals in 23 games. I mean, 17 in I think it was 26 this year? 20 games. You had
20,
that
yeah.
unfortunate mid-season injury. But I mean, you've really come into your own this year and sort of had that breakout season. And, you just seem to be finding the back of the net for fun.
It is pretty fun. I'm really happy with obviously my individual performance. I think before the season started, I sat down with my coach Marnie. I said, okay, this is where I want to be come round 26, and actually surpassed my season goal that I wanted in just lesser games too, which worked out well. But no, like I said previously, and I'll say it time and time again, it is a team effort. I mean, for me to score, I need the ball. I need to be in good positions to get the ball. But I think team culture is a huge thing to individual success as well. And our culture at the club is, it's undeniably probably the best. We all just get along very well. And I think that's contributed to my breakout season. And yeah, individual accolades are really great. And yeah, I'll obviously cherish that and take that with momentum, but it is a team effort. You look across the board, we're all goal scorers. We've got facilitators in our team. Our defense is phenomenal. They step up when they really need to. So it is a team effort, but yeah, I'm really happy with the season I've had so far.
I mean, one of those facilitators is Petria Phillips, who has really stood out as well. Another one of those sort of breakout season sort of players that just coming in droves for Bulls FC this year. What's it like getting to play with Petria?
It's good. We gel very well on the field. We speak during training okay, this is how I prefer to get the ball, X, Y, Z. And it shows come game day. We work hard at training, but she is a workhorse. She doesn't know how to stop, which is great. But yeah, she's definitely had a breakout season as well. So I'm very happy for her too.
Now, you get to put it all together in 90 or 120 minutes of do-or-die football on Saturday night against the Mt Druitt Town Rangers, who promoted from the Football New South Wales League One women's competition this year. Really dominated the competition until injury started to take its toll on the side, and they sort of slipped, towards the bottom of the top four. They finished the season in fourth. Had to win on the final day to actually make finals.
Yeah.
What are you making of that challenge?
I think every team on their day is, just as good as any other team. We're not going into this game thinking we're the best team now in the league. We're going into this game thinking teams want to knock us off. We need to show up. Mt Druitt have quality across, from their keeper. I heard that they've conceded the least amount of goals this year, so that will be obviously a challenge for our attacking third. But all throughout the park, they've got quality. So it's just trying to nullify that. And I'm sure we'll put in a good shift. It will be a very entertaining game as well. But I'm sure we'll come away hopefully with the win.
It is at Valentine Sports Park. It's not a venue that's been used a lot this season. What are you making of, I believe you're playing on field 2, which is a synthetic field. So you do have the advantage of, the fact that you play on synthetic at Northbridge, but it's a different venue, a venue you haven't probably played at for a long time. How are you looking at that challenge?
Personally, I'm looking at it as we're the home team. We're undefeated at home. Nothing changes. That's my mentality going in, I want to maintain being undefeated at home. So as far as I know, Valentine is the new Northbridge Oval. So that's how I'm looking at it. I'm sure the girls will be looking at it that way. But yeah, it's a mutual ground for both of us, but it's still our home turf.
Well, it doesn't quite have the city views that Northbridge Oval does, but it does have a beautiful sunset to look at from the commentator's position.
Yeah,
and as the commentator for that game, I'm very much looking forward to it on
perfect.
Saturday night. I want to look ahead a little bit to, I guess, are you looking beyond this Saturday? Looking at UNSW APIA, or is it just looking, at Mt Druitt in front of you?
Look, I think we've obviously got our eyes on the prize. We want to be in that grand final and we want to book our ticket this Saturday to get there. But it is just one game at a time. You can't go into any game, overzealous. You need to take each opponent seriously. But yeah, I want to be at that grand final, and I'll make sure I can do everything in my capabilities to get my team there as well.
It looks like, and this is not a slight on UNSW or Mt Druitt, but that it seems like the neutral wants another Bulls APIA game. Barely, we're not even 3 days removed from from that encounter. Do you think potentially coming up against them, knock on wood, not trying to jinx anything, what does that do playing them in such a short time span again?
Look, honestly, if we draw them again, I think it would still be the same thing. We won the Premiership through them, but I think it'll be even sweeter if we can win the double against them as well. But having said that, grand final, anything can happen. It is such a short time span, so I don't think a whole lot will change in terms of, personnel and stuff on their end. But yeah, it will be a good battle, regardless if it's UNSW or APIA. Whoever gets there, it will be definitely a fight.
And then, sort of looking at how you've gotten here as a whole, you've spent time at Bankstown City, you've spent time at Sydney Uni, at APIA, as we've already mentioned, but it kind of looked like it wasn't going to happen for a while. You went through a very horror injury run. You've sort of come out on the other side. You did have the injury a little bit earlier this year, but injuries are something you've had to battle through your career. How has that challenge been?
I think it's just part of the sport. I mean, you just got to embrace it. You can't take football for granted, that's for sure. I see it as it just built my character even more. A lot of people may not go through it. I did. It's made me stronger. It is what it is. It doesn't change me. It actually, makes me want football even more. So, yeah, I've put it all behind, and I'm just gearing on.
Hopefully, one of the things that will come your way soon is an A-League Women contract. I know you've talked in the past about wanting to get to the A-League Women. What would it mean to actually, get that contract in your hands?
I don't know. I actually can't picture the day. I don't know. I don't even know what I would do, to be honest. I think I'd just be so over the moon. I've worked hard for so many years. But yeah, I think I'd probably be pretty speechless if I got it. But yeah, I don't know. It's something I've got my heart set on, so we'll see how we go. But I'm just trying to focus on doing my job for the Bulls, and I'm sure things will eventuate for me.
Your former teammate Ash Crofts spoke a few weeks ago about the idea of her potentially returning to the A-League and just the challenges that come with it being a semi-professional competition as well, and needing that right opportunity as you're trying to build a life. And does that maybe limit the opportunities you might be able to take, or would it just be whichever team comes along first is sign the contract, or would you want to make sure it's a right fit before you commit to anything?
Obviously it'd be ideal to have the right fit, but I think maybe in my position alone, I'll probably just take whatever comes my way. I mean, I can't be too picky. It's a bit hard at the moment with Western United being in a bit of limbo. Not many people know what's happening with that, and there's a huge delay in signings and stuff. So that obviously doesn't help. It makes me need to be a little bit more patient. But yeah, I'd probably just see how I go, and hopefully I get something.
So I'll take everyone a little bit inside baseball here. I stopped the recording and we sort of chatted for a couple of minutes afterwards, and you mentioned your move to Serie B last year in 2024, and just the difference in the environment over there. But then you came back to the Bulls. I mean, first of all, what happened in Italy? I think you said you were there for 6 months, but then what made you want to come back?
Yeah, I think the setup in Europe is on another level. As I was saying before, a lot of the stuff is all paid for, accommodation, travel. It's just you travel as a team. So I was in a team based down south. If I had to go to play a team up north, we'd train it up there, stay overnight in a hotel, everything paid for, and we came back all inclusive. But yeah, after 6 months, Bulls reached out and Marty contacted me saying, would you consider a move back to the NPL? And yeah, I was like, why not? I really value Marty as a coach. He believes in me a lot as a player, and he's not one of those coaches that tries and changes a player to fit into their system. And I think it's worked. I think the success has it's proof in the pudding, really. So yeah, I'm happy that I came back, but yeah, we'll see where the next road leads me to.
Well, at least you've got options.
Yeah, no, it does help, because especially with dual citizenship as well, I think for Australians that don't have dual citizenship, it is much harder to get gigs overseas because you need visas and there's all this paperwork stuff. So it is a little bit easier for me in that regard, but yeah, no, we'll see.
I mean, hopefully you get that A-League women contract, but if that doesn't happen,
yeah, because then I can stay here.
at least you get to. I mean, getting to play football in Italy is probably a dream, and just the idyllic countrysides. And I mean, I'm sure you don't get to spend all your time out there and those picturesque sceneries, but there's probably enough that it makes it worth it, right?
Yeah, no, 100%. Like, yeah, every country has its pros and cons. There are cons there. There's pros here. It's all that stuff.
Well, hopefully you'll get the chance to showcase yourself over the next 2 weeks throughout the NPL Women's New South Wales Finals Series. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the Dubcast today, and I look forward to watching you and commentating you on the weekend, and hopefully a Coco-Di Sipio hat-trick sends Bulls FC into the final.
Look, put it out there. That will happen. Don't worry. We'll get some goals in the back of the net, that's for sure.
No worries. So thank you very much for joining us on the Dubcast
Appreciate it. See you then.